By and large, the Final Shape DLC has been an absolute banger with new exotic quests, incredible narrative, exceptional raid, an amazing new PvE linear fusion rifle for Grandmaster Nightfalls, and more. But I can't help but feel like we're looking like the guy from Lady in the Water who only lifted on one half of his body, so he has like one super swole arm and then one limp little noodle. So the swole arm is PvE, right? The limp noodle, PvP. But PvP does still have its premier playlist, Trials of Osiris, available most weekends with decent loot in the pool. So ultimately the goal of this video is to answer the question, should you bother playing Trials of Osiris this season? Will there be value for you, the player, in this playlist? So let's break it down. I think there's a lot of variables here when it comes to answering this question, but I'm going to narrow it down to 3 subtopics. So the first, is the playlist rewarding enough to earn your playtime? Second, is the playlist fun enough to earn your playtime? And finally, is the playlist balanced and reliable enough to earn your playtime? So let's start with the first question, is it rewarding? Trials over the years has gotten increasingly more rewarding when it comes to materials that were typically locked behind PvE activities. So going flawless and winning Trials matches after that can lead to a fair amount of Ascendant materials and enhancement materials being gained for PvP enthusiasts who just like to play the activity and farm adept loot, etc. But that's probably not why most players would interact with Trials of Osiris. Most players are probably looking for the pinnacle rewards for winning rounds on a single passage, and then the adept weapons themselves. So this season in the rotation for adept weapons, we've got Shayura's Wrath, which was just up this past weekend, the Eye of Soul Sniper Rifle, the Incisor Trace Rifle, the new Aisha's Care 2-round Burst Pulse Rifle, the Prophet Scout Rifle, the Summoner Auto Rifle, and the Cataphract Grenade Launcher. So whether or not Trials is going to be rewarding depends very heavily on what you've already acquired, right? The Summoner is amazing, both for PvE and for PvP, with some great solar build synergy or raw dueling potential, but we've had lots of time to farm these already. So many of you who would want this, you probably already have it. If you're looking for a good PvE solar potential, then, you know, the new Nullify Pulse Rifle from the Salvation's Edge raid offers a lot of the same things that Summoner does. I got an Adept one last night with Incandescent, Subsistence, and Heal Clip all on one roll. The Eye of Soul has been around forever. The Cataphract is a great grenade launcher, but again, it's been around for a long time, and there are so many other amazing endgame PvE heavy weapons out there already, so you're not really missing out by not having it. The new Scout Rifle from the Echoes loot table is arguably just as good, if not better, than the Prophet Scout Rifle from Trials. The only 2 things that are new this season, really, are the Aisha's Care Pulse Rifle, and it honestly sucks with no real PvP or PvE value. And then you've got the Shayura's Wrath, which isn't necessarily new, but it does have a new perk pool. So it now has that, it's got that Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds combo, which is great for PvE ad clear. I grabbed one of those myself this weekend, and it never had that combo before. It's also got Keep Away and the new perk Strategist on it as well for some more build synergy. So you may want to keep an eye on the rotation for when Shayura's Wrath comes back up. But other than that, I don't really think there's a lot going on with the loot table that's exciting, unless you're new to the game and you need to collect all of these things. In which case, yeah, you may want to come to Trials more regularly this season. So when we specifically ask the question, is Trials of Osiris rewarding enough to warrant your time investment? I think the answer is, well, it depends. If you're a diehard PvP lover, then yeah, you'll get materials you don't typically get access to. Otherwise, it just depends on what you've already collected, but there's not a lot going on here that's super exciting if you ask me. Moving on to question number 2, is Trials fun enough to earn your time investment? Well, are you a hunter? No? Then no. I'm being facetious and reductive here, of course, but there is a little bit of truth to it. So one of the things we talk about a lot in Destiny is this idea of balance. The game is more fun when there is variety, right? Variety in subclasses being played and being used, and builds that you come up against, and weapons that people are using. But when the game falls into a very hard forced meta, it kills variety, which in turn kills fun. If you are running into the exact same gun and the exact same subclass with the exact same build match after match after match after match, then you are likely to get bored and frustrated. Unfortunately, that's where Trials is right now. There's a very, very hard meta here, the likes of which I haven't seen since the very hard Antaeus Ward Arc Titan meta, Right now, the meta is to use a Prismatic Hunter with Threaded Spectre spam, right? Threaded Spectre was already on top of the meta before the new DLC dropped. But now the Prismatic kit took something that was already at the top and pushed it even higher above everything else. It elevated it beyond the atmosphere and into space, basically. Now, whenever you shoot someone, they dodge away from you. And even though you were winning the duel, they now have physical cover. They likely slowed you when they dodged. They left behind a proximity bomb, as well as a radar ping. And the decoy has an aim assist black hole on it that has more aim assist on it than an actual Guardian does. So it is literally physically impossible to shoot an enemy who is using their decoy as cover. All of your bullets will pull hard towards the decoy, and then it will break, sending out threadlings at you, while the other player can just comfortably just stand there and shoot past the decoy at you. So I'm going to be 100% objective here as somebody who plays mostly Hunter in endgame PvP. I want to express that because I feel like every time I say something about Threaded Spectre being busted, people are like, you just hate Hunters. Like, dude, I main Hunter in endgame PvP content. And I will tell you, as a PvP Hunter main in endgame content, this is bullcrap. It is broken beyond belief. It is so absurdly strong that this weekend, this kit was on top of the meta by a landslide. 50% of all players were using Hunters, and 40% of all those Hunters were using Prismatic with Threaded Spectre. That is insane. We've not seen a meta that weighted to one thing as far back as I can remember. Titans in PvE have been a hot topic lately. Most people arguing that Titans are weaker than ever in PvE since their best things were nerfed, and the Prismatic kit was a little lackluster for them. This seems true in PvP as well right now. While half of all Trials players this weekend were Hunters, only 19% were Titans. That's even with it being Dominion. We're basically looking at a 50-30-20 split right now. 50% of players are Hunters, 30% are Warlocks, 20% are Titans, more or less. So when we talk about balance, it's clear that we do not have it right now. One class represents the same number of players as the other classes combined. So to circle back to the question, is Trials fun? For me, I don't main Threaded Spectre. I think it's bullcrap and I don't want to use it. So for me, not so much right now. I think it's frustrating. I'm a weapons first kind of player. I use my abilities to support and enhance my gunplay. And the meta right now is an ability that says, I don't care how good your aim is. I'm going to put 1 or 2 items on the field that will make it physically impossible for you to hit me if I'm near it. And I'll send a wave of abilities at you passively while I just stand behind it and I shoot you. So your only option is to run away in that situation. And by the time you re-engage, guess what? Their ability is already cooled back down for the Hunter to deploy again in this new engagement. So if you're a Hunter doing the exact same thing, maybe Trials will be fun for you. If you are anything else, it's likely to be frustrating indeed. The good news, though, is that these things are things that Bungie can change mid-season. So hopefully they'll continue to push out sandbox balance updates that help us get back to some form of balance that will increase the fun factor of Trials, because I usually really do enjoy playing Trials, just not right now. And moving on to the final question, is Trials reliable enough to earn your playtime? Well, what do I mean by reliable? Well, I mean, is it a stable game mode? Are the rules of play solid and fair? Are the queue times acceptable? Are matches fair and balanced? Are connections strong? Overall, I'm still not the biggest fan of the Dominion game mode, but I think it's okay-ish now that Well and Bubble have been dialed back. But I would prefer if the cap point didn't reveal itself on the field until it was actually available for capture. That way teams that are built for turtling can't just go straight there and set up their castles before the point is available. But otherwise, I think Trials continues to be a very stable experience altogether. Even on slow weekends when fewer players are in the playlist, I really never have to wait too long to find a match. One point of concern, though, is the frequency at which I play the same players in a single card. You know, sometimes I'm in matches with the same player 3 or 4 matches on a single passage, which is kind of wild. Another thing you might encounter is people who just don't care and throw matches by killing themselves at the beginning of every round. And that could ruin, a full hour of your time investment that it took you to get to game 7, and now you've got somebody who just throws the match, and all that time is for nothing if you were trying to go flawless. Obviously, playing with a team would offset that risk, but then you're in a much smaller pool of players, and you're more likely to run into teams running full meta builds, so things get much sweatier very quickly, and then your queue times are going to get a little bit longer too. So ultimately, most of the issues with Trials can be fixed simply by having more players in the playlist each weekend. But that circles back to the previous 2 topics of the video. If we had better and more rewarding loot, alongside good balance in the sandbox, then more people would play and the playlist would feel more stable and more reliable. It's all pretty cyclical here. So my final grades here for these 3 topics today would be as follows. For being a rewarding experience, I give Trials right now a C+. For being a fun experience, I give it a C-. And for being a reliable and sturdy experience, I give it a B+. In a perfect world, we'd be seeing all Bs and As in these categories, but I know that we've got some improvement and growth to go here. Best we can do is to continue to give clear and pointed feedback and allow the PvP Strike team to do their thing and help make Trials a more welcoming and rewarding place for all players of all skill levels. But knowing what you know about Trials of Osiris, I'd like to hear from you down in the comments below. Will you be playing Trials this season? And if you will be, what for? What's your primary motivation to play it? And if not, what's keeping you from playing it? Thanks so much for watching the video today. If you enjoyed it, then let me know by leaving a like in the video, as that's the best free way to support the content here on YouTube. And consider subscribing for additional Destiny 2 content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.